The movie starts in an empty white room, with a chair, a toilet, and 2 drawings. A girl wakes up struggling to move as she discovers her legs are immobile, overwhelmed by pain and confusion. Later, a strange man appears in front of her. He introduces himself as Thomas and tells her that he has kidnapped her. She will be held captive under his care until she falls in love with him. It seems she doesn't remember herself, so he reminds her that her name is Ruby, and she is 25 years old. He continues revealing several pieces of information about her while she asks him what he has done to her legs. He tells her he had taken her ligament away as a necessary precaution so she would not run away. He warns her not to run, explaining they're too isolated for help, and no one will hear her screams. Before leaving, he informs her that the train nearby has painkillers and a contraceptive pill. He recommends taking them along with her meal. He also mentions her bag is near the door, emphasizing he respected her privacy by not opening it. Just as he reaches the door, she asks him if he has raped her, but he feels a little down as he confesses to not having done anything to her. The next day, her tray is empty, indicating she ate the food, but the pills remain. Upon Thomas's arrival, he is upset that she didn't take the pills. He details her daily routine, advising a 7 a.m. wake-up and 11 p.m. bedtime, ensuring 3 meals and cleanliness are taken care of. Feeling helpless, she eventually falls asleep. The next morning, Thomas enters to serve her breakfast. Immediately after he leaves, she struggles to her bag and sees her belongings, including her identity card and a mirror. She uses the mirror to look at her face, and when she hears sounds that Thomas is coming, she packs the bag and drags herself to her initial position. A ball drops from her purse, and she quickly retrieves it and hides it in her pocket before Thomas enters. When Thomas enters, he touches her face and sees she is in pain, so he immediately administers a large dose of painkillers into her mouth and leaves. Ruby soon gets drowsy and falls asleep. She gets a dream of her drowning. She soon wakes up and sees Thomas beside her, narrating her daily routine again. After he leaves her, she brings out the ball, and she looks at it with her bracelet, which also has her name on it. The following day, Thomas helps with her leg treatment. He then proceeds to clean her body. One day, Ruby notices something at the back of her head. She touches it and sees that she has an injury on her head. She grabs her bag, retrieves a mirror, and frustratedly smashes it, trying to examine her injury. When she notices Thomas sneaking by the door to look at her, she quickly hides the broken mirror in her bandage and crawls back to her seat. When Thomas enters, he holds the pills again, and she sleeps off. While she sleeps, Thomas plays the audio recording of his words to discourage Ruby from escaping and starts to rearrange her room. He soon falls asleep too. The alarm rings the next morning, and Thomas switches off the audio. He proceeds to help Ruby sit up and leaves. We are then shown the next series of days of how both of them spend the days together, and Ruby will spend her free time playing catch with her ball. One morning, Ruby goes to the sink and messes with the pipe. The water starts leaking, but when Thomas comes to serve her breakfast, he doesn't seem to be bothered by the mess. Thomas goes to investigate the sink, and Ruby asks him what will happen if she doesn't fall in love with him, and if she will be held captive forever. She even jokes about what he did to her legs isn't romantic at all. Thomas doesn't reply and starts cleaning the floor. Instead, he asks her what she wants, which puzzles her. He proceeds to explain that she must be feeling better now for the fact that she can be joking. She asks him for a blanket, pillow, and probably a book to pass the time, and he agrees to get it for her. He inquires about her opinion on the pencil drawings, and she compliments their appearance. This reaffirms that she is feeling better, and before he leaves, he asks her to remind him what she wants again, and she complies. In the next scene, Ruby is sitting on the bed with a pillow. Thomas brings her the book she wanted, and when she glances through it, she recalls a former memory of herself sitting and flipping through the same book. She tells him that she has read the book before. She is shocked because that is her first memory since she has been there, and Thomas is also glad that she got the flash memory. Thomas explains that he could help her regain her memories using several triggers, and it could be anything. He asks about the drink she would want, and she requests for a tea. When she drinks it, she gets another memory of her drinking the same tea. He tells her he knew she would remember because that is her favorite tea, and when she wonders how he knows, he says it's due to research. The following day, as Ruby reads the book, she sees some illegible words written in unknown ink. She can't read it, and when she eventually figures she can read the reflection of it, she brings out the broken mirror and reads it. She sees the word, "Don't trust him," but hears Thomas's steps, so she hides the book. Thomas comes to prepare a table so they can have dinner together. During dinner, Thomas tries to touch her hand, but she pulls away. Ruby confronts him that he has been kidnapping other ladies and raping them to get them to do what he wants. He tries to deny doing such, and when she keeps insisting, he hits the table, and she gets startled. He tends to his wounded hand, and she assures him that she wants their connection to be unique, not shared with others. Thomas is glad to hear that, and he leaves. After he leaves, Ruby reveals that she is just pretending to be scared. The next day, Thomas informs Ruby that her legs are recovering well. After he leaves, she proceeds to remove the bandages and sees that there are no cuts on her legs. She struggles to the door and gets another flashback of a man approaching and sedating her. She regains consciousness and gives up trying to open the door. She continues reading the illegible letters and decides to sniff the ink. She gets a memory of her putting something behind a brick. She proceeds to remove the brick in the room, and a bunch of matchsticks drop. She realizes she was the one writing those words. Thomas returns for dinner with her, and as they eat, Ruby asks for candles so they can have a romantic night, and she stylishly takes the match from the table. Over the next few days, we see how Ruby spends her day. She writes in her book, exercises her legs, and practices using the broken mirror as a weapon while still pretending that her legs aren't in good condition. One day, while exercising, Thomas enters and she quickly returns to the bed and pretends to read. He asks to exercise her legs with her and she allows him while pretending to still be in pain. Later, he comes with a table for dinner and tells her it is a special meal. As they eat, she remembers an occasion where they are eating the same meal at an expensive restaurant. They look like they are in love, and he even gives her a piece of necklace and pecks on her forehead. Ruby asks if they are in love, but he doesn't reply and only tells her it is a flashbulb memory. At night, as Ruby is brushing her teeth, she notices the word raw on one of the drawings. The next morning, Ruby peeps through a small window and sees someone on the boat. In the next scene, Ruby is drawing in the room and Thomas is on her bed sleeping. She strives to reach for the door to leave, but as she gets nearer, Thomas wakes up, so she pretends to take the ball and returns. At night, Thomas comes to cover a blanket on Ruby, and she gets another memory of them getting intimate. The next day, Thomas asks for a dance, and as they do so, Ruby gets another memory of them dancing, and Thomas confesses how much he loves her. Ruby now realizes that they were together. Later, Thomas teaches her how the remote control for the lights work, and she also dances for him. They start getting intimate, but Ruby starts to cry, asking how did they come to this? In a flashback, we see Ruby waiting for Thomas at a bar with her friend, Nick. Unfortunately, Thomas missed his train and left her hanging that night. Nick flirts with her, takes her home, and attempts to have intercourse with her. But when she refuses, he rapes her. When Thomas arrives with his friend, Rob, he angrily kills Nick and takes Ruby in Rob's car. Rob is scared, but drives them home. Ruby is traumatized and lost her memory. Rob tries to call the police, but Thomas begs him otherwise. Rob eventually drives them to a faraway island and leaves. Thomas tries every possible means to help Ruby recover her memories, but none of those methods work. He slowly learns about retrograde amnesia, a type of amnesia where the victim loses memory of events occurring before an episode. After studying Ruby's responsiveness patterns, Thomas decided to pretend as if he had kidnapped her and helped her start all over again. After knowing the truth, Ruby appreciates him in tears, hugs him, and spends their night getting intimate. When Ruby wakes the next day, she stabs Thomas with the broken mirror and staggers outside through the door despite how he holds her. She gazes to the sky and runs to the boat, but collapses before she can escape. In the next scene, Ruby wakes at the hospital with the doctor, telling her she will be fine and may experience short-term memory loss. The doctor is revealed to be Thomas, who yet plans to create another scenario, in hopes of helping to recover her memories as the movie ends. Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Leave a like to help the channel out. Also leave a comment if you'd like us to recap your favorite movie. Thanks for watching.